Good afternoon, Michael Walton. How are you today, sir?
I'm great, my friend. How we doing?
Awesome, awesome. You mind if I call you Mike?
Yeah, go right ahead, man.
All right, you should. Okay, all right. I was just I like Michael and everything, and that's how I was introduced to you. But over time, I got to know you as Mike. So, anyone else, you can call him Michael, but I'm going to call him Mike today.
Definitely.
And thank you for your time today, Mike. Welcome to Lending with Purpose. These are conversations that we have with our clients and friends, introductions to various forms of information and professionals like yourself, resources that we use, that we look for, that we never knew existed or wanted to learn more about. And so we're going to get right to it. But just quickly, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but one night I was in the middle of making a transition from the retail space. And really thinking hard about what my next move was, how we were going to go about standing up a company that I thought you needed, $1 trillion saved.
Yeah.
I thought you had to have this huge warehouse line. I thought your technology stack, and you had to have a cool room with servers all over the place to operate your business. And I thought that I had to be really close with the leadership at Fannie and Freddie and all these major organizations that would allow me to own and operate a mortgage company. So started to do more and more research and found the wholesale space and specifically independent mortgage brokerages. And so someone said, check out UWM. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of the company, but it's weird because y'all are the biggest company, and I don't know why I had never heard of UWM. Probably because I was in the retail space, and you service wholesale largely, and really not a ton, at least on the rate sheets that I'd seen in the correspondent world. And so one night, because I tend to at times, not as much anymore, but stay up really late, and I was on LinkedIn, which is a platform that we're on right now. Doing this live stream, I was on LinkedIn and someone said, UWM. So I started to do some research, and I saw this guy, Matt Ishbia, and I saw the name, and we were connected somehow. And then so I just said, you know what? I'm just going to DM the guy. He's probably not going to get back to me, or he's going to have a handler or someone like that, maybe, reach back out to me. So I kid you not, Mike, it was like midnight. Good morning at the time, Matt. This is Shawn Williams. I'm, really serious and interested in entering the wholesale space. I understand that your company is an organization that, really works with the independent mortgage broker, and you have an amazing playbook to help us get started. If at all possible, could you just point me in the right direction? I wasn't expecting him to reach back out to me and say, hey, do this, and that, and give me the whole playbook.
Right.
So I kid you not, no less than 10 minutes later, I get a response to my direct message. Hey, Shawn, thanks for reaching out. I'm going to get such and such on it first thing tomorrow morning. And then he pulls that person. He got my email.
Yep.
Then he sends an email, copies me on the message, and pulls that person in and asks them if they could help me first thing the next morning. Right. So I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then the next morning, what happened? Someone from your organization reached out to me, gave me the entire rundown on, from soup to nuts on how to get started and becoming an independent mortgage broker. And almost 4 years later, here we are. So I want to say thank you. It's been great getting a chance to get to know you. I really enjoy and appreciate what you've been doing. And for all the lenders out there, you know who you are, because me coming through the industry 14 years before I started this, all I was ever told or brainwashed was to think that brokers were the scum of the earth. They couldn't get any deals done. They overcharged you. They had no control, no options, and it was the worst thing in the world, right? And so I've come to learn, I don't know if things are going to change, but that is the farthest from the truth that I've experienced by being in this industry. So today we're going to talk, ladies and gentlemen, more about what it's like becoming an independent mortgage broker, so that you don't have to hear how excited I am when you ask me how I got started and why it's so great. You can hear from someone who lives it every day as well. But Mike, before we get started, tell us who you are, what you do, and we'll get into our conversation.
Awesome. Well, one thing I want to comment on is I love the story, and I love the way that your company had its inception and how you stepped into the space. But even as much as I love your story, the reality is right now it's not a unique story anymore. More people are figuring it out. More people are finding that there are ways to do it, and we're really trying to establish a platform so that people can make that transition as smoothly as you did as well. So first off, I want to say thank you for trusting us to help you start something like this, because I know in our conversations you talked about your dream. You talked about how you wanted to help people. You talked about how much you cared about consumers. And that's no small thing to trust somebody with. When you have a passion and you have a dream and you're looking for partners to help you accomplish that, we're honored to be someone that you thought of to say, maybe this is a resource that can help me get it done. So I want to say thank you for trusting us too over the years with your business and helping you grow. To answer your question, who am I? What do I do? Mike Walton, Director of Wholesale Development with United Wholesale Mortgage. And I do a lot of what Shawn's talking about, where we help people who are interested in making a transition, in making a change, actually have a blueprint or a game plan as to how they can step into the wholesale space. But we don't just do it just to help you start the company. We do it to make sure that you're there and your company starts on the right foot. We want to make sure the foundation is set for you. So we're there in an advisory role as you're going through this process to ensure that you have everything in place that you need. Make sure all the people that you need to contact you can, and all the resources at your fingertips that are necessary, we make sure that you can reach them.
Great. Real quick, you have a son too as well that we were just talking about. That's going to at some point. I'm going to be a sports agent as well, so we're going to get Fortis sports management going, so that I can be a sports agent when he gets to the NFL. But you're also a father too as well. I'm a proud father.
I am. I have two kids. Have a 15 going on 16-year-old son, and I have a 10-year-old daughter, who is probably the most grown person in the house and runs the house. So it's really her house, and we just live in it. But my son, as you said, he plays football, and he's pretty much a well-rounded kid. He has a letter in football, has a letter in wrestling, and I didn't even know you can get a letter in choir, but he has a letter in choir as well. So the kid's doing pretty well. 4.0 student. I really can't complain. He makes me look good. Like I do a pretty decent job.
Hey, that's awesome. And so, why our space? Like, independent mortgage broker, like, what does that really mean, number one? And then why are you telling people that they should do this?
Well, I love the way you phrase that question. Independent mortgage broker is in the title. It speaks to the flexibility you have and the way that you have the power to design your own mission, right? You don't have to live from the bottom line. You can actually live from your purpose. That's the independent part. The mortgage broker part speaks to the community of people that are gathering together within the wholesale channel to ensure that borrowers are getting the best mortgages. They're getting the best solutions for their situations. So why do I steer people this way? I was on the retail side. I came over to the wholesale side. And I would say this: I respect business models. I respect people being able to make money. We're a capitalistic society. However, what I respect is the opportunity to be able to make money and make sure you're doing what's best for the people you're making money through. Right. And I think wholesale presents you with the best option to do that. Borrowers are going to save money on mortgages. Loan officers are going to make more money for themselves and their families. And at the end of the day, we have a smoother, faster, cheaper process that allows people to maximize their goals.
You said loan officer. So let's talk also about, and I'm all over the place, but this is great because
I love it.
Again, we have on this channel, we have conversations. Right. So again, we know it's unscripted and nothing can, but you mentioned loan officer, right? So you don't have to be a broker owner,
correct,
to operate in this space. Let's talk about the difference between being a loan officer broker versus a broker owner. Can you talk to that or speak to that?
Love that. Well, many people think you have to come over as an owner, and that's just simply not the case. You and I both know this, Shawn, because we've talked about this. There are people who are equipped to own companies and run companies. And then there are people that's just not their forte, or they're not quite ready for that yet. And the opportunity is just as vast for both sides of that coin. So if you're someone, let's say you were a P&L branch and you kind of ran your own business and you already had a model that you've built up, or you had a pretty decent sized team, ownership may be the route you want to look, because whether you know it or not, you've already been doing it. You've just been doing it for someone else. Now there's an opportunity to take your talents and do it for yourself. But then from the loan officer perspective, it's just as lucrative and just as fulfilling to understand that I don't necessarily have the responsibility of the reporting and the liability of ownership, but I can still take advantage of what it presents to borrowers as a loan officer. And I think that's a huge thing to know that there's not only flexibility in your role, but there's flexibility in the role that you get to choose. And so as a loan officer, what would draw me is the companies I work for being nimble, right? They can react to the market much faster than some larger companies can. The fact that I have access not only to one set of products or one appetite of a lender, I have 70 plus lenders that I can work with to find out what makes the most sense for my specific client. So that's very appealing to loan officers because often we don't think certain things can be done only because we were told that by the company we work for, not because it actually can't be done. You alluded to this earlier, right? When you said, hey, I was always told brokers couldn't do this and brokers couldn't do that. And you know what? That came from this was the appetite of your company. This served their purpose and them keeping you there and making sure you're working within their system. When as you get exposed to more, you realize, wow, there is a lot out here for me to do. That's the huge thing for loan officers is that transition just opens a door that you didn't even know how to handle.
Thank you. Thank you. And then what are you seeing like in regards, because I know UWM is huge for technology and data. And so like in regards to data, like how successful have you seen loan officers that transition from the retail space into the broker model? Do you have data or information around that, like as to how well they succeed?
Well, we're consistently compiling data around that to get you specific numbers. I can speak loosely to it.
Yes.
One of the major things that we see is hugely a large percentage of the loans that don't get closed in retail have a home that you can close it in wholesale. That alone actually increases the actual closing ratio that loan officers and broker owners are seeing. So my conversion rates end up being higher. Well, what does that equate to? How do I know that I'm getting better? Well, number one, I'm getting better because if I close 5 out of 10 loans before, I'm closing 7 out of 10 loans here. Well, that's an immediate increase with the same amount of effort that I'm putting in. Because of the processes and the access to more things, I now can not only close at a higher clip, but I'm closing at a higher efficiency. And with me closing at a higher efficiency, the work I took to do 5 before, that same work can now produce 8 or more, right? And so that's where we're seeing people have such huge leaps in their success is because of having access to that. And whether you're on the owner side, where obviously you get more of the pie because you're taking on more of the risk, or you're on the LO side, on average, what I've seen anecdotally is loan officers that come from retail into wholesale experience anywhere from a 20 to 30 basis point bump in the amount of money they're making per loan.
Yeah, and I've seen that too as well, and it depends on the model because we do a great job at connecting as broker owners and just loan officers in general in this space, and so it ranges, but it the loan officers tend to make more from what I'm seeing.
Right.
The consumer also saves more money as well. It's a fact from looking at some of the reports that have come out through HMDA and such, that the consumer over the life of the loan ends up saving more money by using a mortgage broker as well. And so those are good numbers and good facts. And so the other thing is that I wanted to talk about, because your playbook was really amazing to me. It was a guide for me to get started, and not just as a broker owner, but really as a broker owner though, because I didn't have to put too much thought into anything in addition to what I've already was thinking about. Just kind of validated everything for me. So let's talk about the playbook, and how long does it take to get up and running? Like what's been your experience? Like how long does it say when you say, hey, I want to get going, I want to start as a broker owner? Because as a loan officer, you just transition right away because someone's already set up, you transfer your licenses and such. But like as a broker owner, typically how long are you seeing that it takes to get your company stood up?
Well, first, I also want to make sure there's a resource called beamortgagebroker.com where you can actually go to connect and be able to get the playbook that we're talking about and get connected with someone like myself who will be able to help you walk through the process. Now, the time frame is going to vary based upon the states you want to get licensed in. On average, I would say be prepared for 60 to 90 days for a transition. In that, some states are faster, some states are longer. You kind of average out to that bucket. Like if you're California, you might take a little longer. However, if you're Florida, you might be a lot faster, right? And so you always want to prepare for that 60 to 90 days at a minimum, just to make sure you have your ducks in a row and everything in order as you begin to start this process. Because there's several stages within it, right? There's a formation of the company, there's the licensing of the company, then there's a construction of your tech stack and getting your list of lenders and signing up with everyone that you're going to work with as well. So all of those things take a few weeks in between to do.
Got it. Thank you. And in regards to the playbook piece, what's the best advice that you give someone when looking through that playbook?
You're gonna laugh, man. Read it. I kid you not. I kid you not. Like some of the questions I end up getting, some people don't realize, hey, we've answered this for you. That answer is right here. So my best advice is actually read it. Make sure you read all the steps. But the secondary thing is the purpose of the playbook is to aggregate information to save you time from actually having to go search and source it yourself, right? That's the purpose. The thing there is, one thing I tell people is don't let that confine your vision, though. The playbook is meant to be a skeleton for you to add the meat to, right? You can build the muscle and everything else around it now that you have the base information you need to get your company going. So that's what I mean. I really want people to look at it as a guide and not necessarily here's your only blueprint. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It really does. You sound like me sometimes with my team. It's just like I want to answer those questions that they have just because I'm supposed to, because I work for them. But it's just like we put it together. We have a standard operating procedure around it. There's a blueprint. Just read it. So good stuff. Oh man, I just had a question on the tip of my tongue. And so in regards to kind of retail versus the broker space and model, like everyone's talking about interest rates going up, and it's a fact. Rates have gone up significantly over the last 12 months, right? We're doing everything that we can to keep the affordability, right, and help people understand and focus on what's affordable for them. But like, are you all seeing on the retail, on the wholesale side, interest rates being better? And is that enticing for other loan officers to come into this space as well? Number one. But then the other thing that I get from other people is just like, all right, that's short term. It's sort of a fad. It's going to go away. And then you're going to pull the wool over our eyes. And then we're not going to have these rates for a long time.
So that's a great statement question. Well, historically, brokers have always been able to offer lower rates than what happens in retail. The main reason being the margins aren't the same. Right? A broker is able to go skinnier on a loan than what a retail company is going to do. There's no disrespect, because the reality is you're in business to make money. Your margins are going to look different in a retail operation because you have a more bloated version of working a company, whereas there aren't the same layers in a broker that they have to cover. So their overhead isn't the same. Therefore, the need for the margin isn't the same. Right? So historically, brokers have probably always been able to offer anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 better than what you may see in retail. Right now, we're seeing an even more significant difference. In some cases, I know I've seen examples that people have brought to me where we're as much as 75 basis points to 100 basis points better than some retail counterparts and what's actually going on in the market. And the reason being is when you're already positioned to win, and that's what wholesale brokers are. When you're positioned to win, when a wave comes of opportunity, you're able to capitalize on it. Do I think retail will become closer in the next couple of years? Probably. They'll get closer, but it's still the same concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still don't have the same overhead. We still don't have the same things that we have to contend with. So us being nimble enough to keep our margin is the way it is, will always put in a position where we can be advantageous. And I know there are things we've done to help brokers become more competitive, mainly because we want people to see the benefit in working with a broker. But one thing I'll always add, man, whenever we're talking about pricing, is I didn't grow up on having the cheapest rate and I had to have the cheapest rate, right? That's not how I was raised in the business. I was raised in the business, have the best process and have the best service. And so the people that are winning now are really the people that set themselves up for that. Because at the end of the day, like anything we sell or anything we buy, you drive a BMW. Why do you drive a BMW versus driving an Escape or Ford, right? I'm paying for what I'm getting. The luxury that comes with that car, the materials that come with that car, the warranties that come with that car, the type of things that were put into building that car matter enough for me to pay the premium to do it. Well, everyone, whether we believe it or not, actually thinks that way. If I provide enough value for my clients, the rate is going to be the last thing that matters, because all I need to know is, does it accomplish my goal? What people care more about is, are you listening to my situation? Are you listening to what I'm trying to accomplish? And are you meeting that need? And can you do so in an efficient, comfortable, wonderful fashion that makes me enjoy the process that we go through? Because I will tell you, there's a reason why there are lenders that are out there now that are historically, their pricing is always higher than everyone else's pricing, yet they do more loans than pretty much anyone else out there. Why do you think that is? They create an experience for their borrowers. They have touch points with their borrowers that keep them bought into the process. And that's why brokers are having this groundswell, is because they've adopted that at an even higher level. Because not only are they able to deliver the same technology, they're able to deliver even better service. They're able to deliver a more efficient process. They're also able to deliver better rates as really an icing on the cake and not the meat of the thing.
Wow, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I had an anecdote for all of that with the technology, service, and process, because I feel like here that Fortis Mortgage, specifically, shameless plug, like, we're the best place to get a mortgage.
I agree.
Like, right. I really feel that way, like, about us, and it's because of the technology, it's because of the service, in the process. And oh, by the way, we check the other box.
Exactly.
We're gonna get you the rate.
Well, can I comment on that though, Shawn?
We're gonna get you a great rate.
Can I comment on your company though?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's what I love about Fortis, and this is, Shawn didn't pay me to do this, just so we're clear. He did not pay me to do this, but here's the reality. Here's what Shawn brings to the table. I know for a fact he has never had a client he hasn't cared about, and there's never been a client that's walked away from him that didn't know that he cared about them. Here's what matters. Shawn has the experience and the knowledge to customize a solution for every single borrower he works with. The reason why he's done so well in the wholesale space is he is the perfect prototype of what we say a broker should be. He uses the lenders that he knows are going to provide the best experience for that client scenario. Not every loan he does, he's a partner of ours. Not every loan he does comes to us. And you know what? That's a good thing, because not every client's going to come to us, but he's making sure he's servicing that client and giving them the best thing. So if you want a prototype for what it is to be successful in wholesale, or what it means to service your borrowers, I would follow Fortis Mortgage, because he's doing that, and he's actually a poster child for what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, there's nothing more important besides the employees, right, and the team, than the customer experience.
Right.
Like, without the customer, there is no transaction. Nothing happens.
Exactly.
If the borrower can't buy a house, the realtor can't sell it.
There you go.
The lender can't finance it, right? The seller can't sell the house and make a profit off of it, or whatever it might be, transfer the ownership of the property.
Right.
And then that homeowner doesn't begin to build generational wealth, or whatever it may be, their purpose and their reason for purchasing the home. So that's why the client experience is paramount. It's most important, because again, we have the tech, we have the service, we have the process, and we have the rates. And the goal is to build a business that you get repeat clients, right?
There you go. Yep.
When someone thinks about, hey, I want to get a mortgage, your company is synonymous with doing so. And so I know you all do a really good job with that. I want to talk about also, because I hear this a lot as well. And I went through it a few years ago, where I was competing against a lender in our space, and they're a big lender and they're well known. It's a local lender, and it was a condo. It was in a condo project, and they were the preferred lender in that particular condo project. This borrower was referred to me by a college buddy, very reliable source. People get into your stories too, Mike, when they know you own a company and they really want to see you do well and succeed. And so this guy's like, listen, I don't have any allegiance to this other company. I like them. They've been okay with me, but I'd love to see you earn the business. All right. So the catch is, I need you to match this rate, number one. But number two, my closing date's in 2 weeks. and I kid you not, I was afraid. I was just like, you know what? Man, I can get the rate. Like, that part, that's fine. Like, whatever. We're going to make that happen. I'm not going to lose your business over an interest rate, right?
Right.
But a 2-week closing, like, dude, can we get an extension? No, we can't get an extension. I got to close in 2 weeks. I have a lot of money riding on this. I can't do it. So I'm like, you know what? UWM says they can do it. I'm doing it. I'll just take a risk. Let's see what happens. And it turned out it wasn't really a risk. It was it worked out to be, oh, I got it done. And no one could believe it. And then even for myself, that was a win internally, because all I'd ever heard is they can't close your loans quickly.
Right.
Brokers can't do this, brokers can't do that. And I'm just like, well, I kind of proved myself wrong, because I was afraid, based on all the noise that I'd been hearing and heard in the background from the time I kind of got into the business until today. And we got that particular loan closed. And so that was a win. Not just UWM, there are other lenders that are closing very fast as well. Right. But like, what's up with the speed in our industry as well? Like we are operating very nimble, and we're getting loans closed really fast in the industry. Like, how do we do that? And specifically, how do y'all do it? Because average,
oh, I lost you a little bit there, Shawn.
Hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can change. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you back.
Yeah. So your average closing, isn't it something like 14 days from application to clear to close, or less? What's the number?
Yeah, we're running around 19 days right now.
Okay.
But with that, and that keeps in there, the longer loans, like a VA loan or something like that goes into it. I would say, every day we're seeing something come through with a 10-day CTC, a 12-day CTC, 15-day CTC, and some of it's experience with our process. When you say what's our secret sauce as to why we do it, one is we have a predictable process, and we've set it up that way on purpose, right? We have a way of working that allows for you to take care of things up front, and the technology that supports your doing that, to be able to push the loan faster and save time. I'll give you one of our biggest examples of it is the CD at initial, right? We give you the ability to be able to submit documents at your initial approval that allows your CD to go out upon that initial review by the underwriter. Well, that's huge in the fact that we've already started the cooling off period on the CD, whereas you're not scrambling at the end of the loan to try to make sure you get that out of the way to be able to close on time. Well, that saves you on average 4 days on a loan, all in from the numbers that we see here over the last few months. So you have that. You have the other technology you have, like, with our Blink service that allows for a seamless way to submit loans to us, from that being the technology we offer you there. There's so many other things we do in terms of how you even go about picking which program to run a client on, whether it's DU or LP, in the one-click process that we have there that shows those two things side by side. All of these little technological advances are really the little pieces of the puzzle that pick up speed piece by piece by piece, that allow for you to be more efficient, right? And then it's really the commitment to everyone has a sense of urgency. Because I don't know whether people notice this or not, or they know this at all. We don't get paid unless a loan closes, just so we're clear. So we want to do everything we can to not only ensure the loan closes, but that it closes quickly, because one, that makes you a hero to the people that you serve. We always say we'll be the largest company you've never heard of, and we do that on purpose, because we want our brokers to shine. We want our partners to be the people that get the credit for it, and see when a realtor says, man, I didn't believe that they could do it. Fortis Mortgage. Exactly. That's exactly what they should say, because we gave you a process that gave you access to that. And so our people at every step of the process, they're immediately, everything's a sense of urgency. We have an internal thing where if you have a question about something, we call it a CR, where we get answers back to you in less than 90 minutes. It's the mortgage business. Something always comes up with a question. But how powerful is it that you can get something fixed in 90 minutes or less versus having to wait 2 days that you have to at some other lender? So I would say the combination of those things kind of become the backbone of how our process is able to operate as efficiently as it does.
Right. And you're absolutely right. I'm living proof. We go through it on a daily basis. We're closing loans. We've been closing loans for over 3 years now. It's Fortis Mortgage, and it's just really amazing. So everybody out there that keeps asking me about it, like how I got started and if it's a real thing and if it's good, the retail loan officers that I know, take a chance on us. Like I would, it's a real thing. And I tell everybody, like for us right now, I think we're up to, I think it's like 15 or 17 lenders that we have access to. You end up getting a groove with a few, and you find yourself using a few of the same, repeatedly. But like we mentioned, we have options, and we have plenty of options to work with. So I tell everyone I have 15 different underwriting departments. I have, 15 sets of marketing departments. I have 15 sets of processing. It's a collective, it's a group. And so we work for ourselves, but we don't work by ourselves.
I love that. Right.
In this model. And so it's been really cool, Mike. I'm not going to take up a whole bunch more of your time. Anytime that someone is asking me about it and they want a sort of a unbiased opinion around it all, I mean, I think they would probably think your opinion is biased too as well. But if they don't want to just hear me kind of show up and throw up about how great it is, I'm referring people your way because you all have that playbook and that model, and you don't have to put a whole bunch of thought into it, and it tells you step by step how to become an independent mortgage broker. And so with that, like, what do you need? Like, what can we do to help you? For everybody out there that's listening, that's on our platform, what are some of the things that you need? Like, how can we help you, number one? And then number two, how do we connect with you?
So number one, how you can help is education. I'll be honest with you. The more people you spread at family barbecues, reunions, weddings, whatever it is, tell them about mortgage brokers. Tell them about the space. They can go to findamortgagebroker.com to find a local mortgage broker to their area that they can connect with for their mortgage needs. Secondarily, if you know people who are interested in transition, they're teetering. It's a sad thing, and it happens in business where companies are laying people off and companies are making decisions that they are trying to do what's right by the profit margins for the company. And unfortunately, people get caught in the crossfire of that. When you see people who are looking to make a career change, point this option out to them. That's beamortgagebroker.com. You have those two resources there to not only use them from a borrower perspective, but let's help them from a business perspective to make sure that we're giving them those resources. Because I don't ever want to see anyone out of work in this business. I don't ever want to see anyone get laid off. I know it's the nature of the beast. And, we can say whatever we want about competition. This is just me and Shawn talking now. I hate when people lose their jobs. That's why I want them to know resources are there for you to be able to pick back up and step into a space where you can not only make money and take care of your family, but you can do it with purpose and know that you're doing what's right by borrowers and ensuring that they get the best possible mortgage they can get. And how do you connect with me? If you want to connect with me personal, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm there. You can see this mug all over the place on my profile picture. My phone number here is 248-833-4812. And my email is mwalton@uwm.com. But don't forget about beamortgagebroker.com. If you got questions about transitioning, that's where you want to go, because that's where we're going to look to try and help you as best we can.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Mike. And we'll get that up in the comments. So, yeah, I just love the way that you're succinct, and I can tell you're a true professional, and really believe in this. And again, I'm grateful for what you've done for Fortis Mortgage, for us. But before I let you go,
okay,
are you ready?
I am, man. You kind of stressed me out with this one.
You thought about it?
Yeah.
So remember before I said I would get these emotions because I wouldn't tell people, beforehand, and I would just pop up with this particular question. So I stopped doing that. So you are prepared. Yes. You get one person.
Okay.
One question. You're having breakfast, lunch, coffee, dinner, whatever it might be, a phone call, email. You get one person, one question. Who would it be, and what would you ask?
It took some time, man, because there's a few people I was thinking through, and honestly, I ended up landing on my grandfather. Okay, my grandfather passed away when I was 19, and he didn't get to see most of his grandkids become adults and have families and everything. And the question I would ask is, your legacy, what you wanted it to be. Like, are we doing it? Have we become the people you wanted to see? Because they owned a farm down in Georgia. My grandparents picked cotton, and I know what they put in us, and I know what they put in my mom and my aunts and my uncles and the work ethic. I just want to know, am I doing you proud?
It's pretty cool. So you're gonna have me on here crying. Yeah, that's a great question to ask your grandfather. I don't even know if you would consider that humble beginnings, though, because that's just the norm,
right?
For them. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I'm very careful when I use that phrase, humble beginnings,
right?
Because it's, for a lot of people, it's normal. And so, I think you are. I think he would say you are living out his legacy. It depends on the type of guy that he is.
He's hard.
He's like,
man.
he'd be like some of y'all are, but him over there, no, not so much. He'd probably run down the list for you, but that's great, Mike. That's great. That's a great answer, and I appreciate that. So everyone, it would be such a shame for me to have people like Michael Walton in the network and not share them with you. That's the main reason why we're here, is to solve that type of a problem. I would like to, if there's anything whatsoever that we can do to help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Still do your very best to remain as safe and as healthy as possible. And, we'll see everybody next week. But Mike, thank you for your time. I'd ask you to hang on with me for a couple more minutes, but thank you for your time today.
I appreciate you, Shawn.